Power BI UX Design. We're going to go through 8 laws of UX design that you need to apply and cross-check every dashboard that you build to ensure it fits within these. As an example, I recently created this dashboard, and guess what? It broke some UX design laws. So what do? You learn the laws, you adapt, and you make a better product like this. You can already tell it looks more elegant, it's more attractive. There's many laws. They're laws for a reason, they work. So we're going to go through this video specifically calling out these 8 laws, showing resources, examples, the whole deal for how you should apply these to your own dashboards. We're going to use this working case as an example. More Power BI updates are going to keep coming. Take 1 second, hit subscribe, stay updated. Now let's get into Power BI Desktop. Let's get into some Makeover. Let's go. All right, here we are in Power BI Desktop. And what we're going to do first is go through the file. Download it from the video description. You can follow along. You have all the links and all the laws, and you can also see how it's built. And then we'll go through each of the makeover steps. Also, this video is going to be geared around the UX design, not how to create these visuals. There's other videos I've created that can reference that. You can ping me with any questions. We'll kind of go from there. So the way the file is laid out is first what's called main. This is what we started with. This is where it initially was. It's pretty overwhelming. This is what we're going to make over to essentially this. And with all the interactiveness and everything else, we'll talk about how this is going to work over. But the other key thing is there's a main 2. I'll close this as well. It has this optional percentage up here to decide, do you want to display it this way or don't you? But now mostly the 2 key sources are going to be these 2 articles, UX Design Laws, found here by Valerie. And it's a great example of some core laws to follow. I went through these, I actually applied them, and it made a huge difference, creating this essentially from this. So also there are the standard laws of UX, which is like 38 plus of them. You can reference as well. And then through the tabs on the right-hand side are going to be each of the laws, and we're going to talk through them and what I did. And so you can learn. So skip to each law, go to the law you care about. Now let's get into it. Firstly, Aesthetic-Usability Effect. This law essentially is stating that it needs to be aesthetically pleasing, and that will make them feel it's more usable. So we'll compare and contrast each of these. So you can do this to your own dashboards, everything you build. When I first opened this up, when I created it, I thought, this is so great. It's so much information. But from an aesthetic standpoint, blown away. Tons of in a negative way. Too many colors, too many things to look at. And there'll be other laws about that. So what I do first was just the idea of aesthetics. Well, I've leveraged 2 things. There's a website, AI Colors, that will just give you a color scheme. So what did I do? I went to this AI Colors. I picked a color scheme. Let's use AI in this case, and I applied it. So I'm going to stick with these colors. It naturally looks better. There'll be other laws about how to call out certain things, so those will be applied. So first, aesthetic usability. That's going to be definitely a big part of your color scheme for the aesthetics and how you use color, which will be, these laws are additive in some way. Also, I loved this gradient generator. Sometimes you can use PowerPoint, but this one seemed to make it very smooth, as you'll see in some of the cards, like the subtleness of a card having a gradient background. It's very aesthetically pleasing. The gradient then also transcends so subliminally into these bars, which is very helpful. But ultimately, utilizing the gradient generator is a great way to create gradients based upon this color scheme. So aesthetic usability, it has to just be kind of calming. It has to be a pleasing design, and that just is more usable. So to keep going through more of this and more specific examples, you'll see how they're additive. So that first law, I said, okay, well, let me figure out these colors. I went with a palette, and I said, okay, now how do I start organizing this stuff? So very first law that hit me up was Hicks Law. This is very important. The time to make a decision increases with a number of choices. Overloading users with too many options, all this stuff can lead to decision fatigue. Well, guess what? As soon as I opened this up, it was very obvious, decision fatigue. Where am I supposed to look at? What am I supposed to do? So I cut it down. And we'll also see Jacob's Law. This is very important for the next one, but essentially sticking with Hicks Law, way too much stuff to look at. So in the new one, my main goal was, okay, I want to show the total market cap. I want to call that out. So I thought of what's the most important number. I also wanted to change the aesthetics to, again, not overwhelm with choices where there's too many things to look at. So it's very simple of one card, one bar chart. It still tells the same stuff. Apple, here's their amount. It went up or down, just like all these KPI cards are doing, but it does it without all the colors and all the overwhelmingness. So it's straight up UX. Hicks Law. So just don't overwhelm them. Bring it back down. Now, this was an important one, and it takes a little bit more development time sometimes to create this one, but Jakob's Law. So as people spend time on other sites, they prefer your site to work the same way. So how does that apply to this? This was the creation of leveraging a menu bar. And again, if you hold control, you can click it. And there's other videos for how to create menu bars. But now the filters are hidden in a bar. I can come in here, I can update them, click, expand as we see fit, and change the date as well. So previously, again, it just blows up right in your face. These are the filters up here. They're actually kind of, hidden, but or they're right in your face, but they're hidden in plain sight because typical UX design doesn't have filters going across the top. They're kind of hidden in menus and you can pull them up. So right away, that Jakob's Law is huge. Use widely adapted layouts, panels, top tabs. So maybe you have a simple tab across the top. That's very common. Also a bar potentially on the left, which is what I chose for this. But again, if you are creating something and you're noticing you don't have those tabs, you could be falling outside of Jakob's Law where you want to keep design following existing patterns. So immediately, again, menu bars, make them applicable for your dashboard, hide and expand them. You can get this file. You can reverse engineer how this was created if you want to. Makes a huge difference. So now, Fitt's Law. The time to acquire a target is a function of the distance to and size of the target. So we want things to, essentially the way I define this is that if they're hard to find, if they're inaccessible, if they're not big enough for users to see them, then that's a problem. And guess what? This violated that as well because all these tiny things, it's tiny everywhere. Like this, it looks cool. It was fun to build, but all these little dots are just tiny. These are big, but they don't fall into Jakob's Law. So what that means, again, all the values are really tiny. Everything's just tiny. You have to have things bigger. So that's why with main 3, it's the font's bigger, the canvas ratio is set back to 16:9. All the numbers are big and easy to read. There's not a lot of tiny numbers. Color is intentional as well, but you can see that even the filters, they look like buttons. They're bigger. The fonts are bigger. So the main takeaway from this one, again, there's so many laws, it's hard to perfectly, define or use all of them, but you need to have things that, especially touch targets, that are easy to be hit. They're not small. So again, like to know you're supposed to click on 2023 in this one just doesn't make any sense. But again, right here, it's very simple to click around. You can see how this works. So focus on Fitt's Law as well when you're creating things. The law of proximity. Objects that are near or proximate to each other tend to be grouped together. It helps to establish relationships. Again, this somewhat violates it because things are grouped together, but the way they're grouped together is so small with just the skinniest margins between them. Everything's very skinny, so it doesn't really appear like grouping. It just appears like a whole bunch of stuff on a page. So what you can do is this looks more grouping in multiple ways. So the menu bar, everything is a slightly different background. This whole picture is grouped together by basically subliminally saying, here's a shadow and the background is different from the background of the image is different from the background of the canvas. Same here. So you can see very quickly there are 3 sections, maybe even 4 for the menu. 1, 2, 3, 4. Here, how many sections? It's like, what in the heck's going on here? So that is important. The law of proximity. Again, think about titles as well and how you can kind of group these things. This could probably even still be improved even more, but this is what I landed on with how to make this better. So now let's keep going for the goal gradient effect. The tendency to approach a goal increases with proximity to goal. Takeaway: the closer users are to completing a task, the faster they work towards reaching it. So what I kind of semi-applied this one, but this is the idea of how to use gradients. And this does not take into account any gradients. This is just saying, man, there's tons of color, tons of things happening. Actually, it's hard to make out what it is. Right here, very simplistic, the gradient that's showing this is going up, this is better. Apple has the most money in this year. Maybe if you pick different years or do other things, you can see how that changes, whatever you choose to. It's a very cool dashboard. But the gradient effect, it's a simple color. It just goes up and it just tells people this is better. So use it, that's why it's a law. Let's keep going. Miller's law. The average person can only keep 7 plus or minus 2 items working in their memory. Well, guess what? That was definitely violated with the first one. So prioritize actionable insights and exclude non-essential data to focus on mainly. Not a big old thing of data, more segmented. So again, Miller's law. All right, what am I supposed to look at? It's hard to tell. It just is. And with this, it's pretty straightforward. Look at this number first. You can see things are going up. Then you can see the breakdown slightly smaller per company. Then you can see the trending over time. A very typical big KPI, big grouping, trending, best practice matrix to kind of tell a story for what you're doing. Now, again, why is that important? Because people, they have to just have less stuff. You can't put too many things on the page. It will not process in their brain, even if it makes sense to you. When I made this, it made perfect sense to me because I was staring at it, but it's too much information. You need to simplify it, keep it simple. There you go. So now to go on to the final law that really makes a big difference as well. I'll say the von Restorff effect. Maybe I pronounced it incorrectly, but it's the isolation effects. So this you'll find it's basically the unique colors. So as this is violated in this one, there's no unique colors. My eyes don't know what to look at actually. It's all the colors correlated to the company. It's confusing. This one, very straightforward. We're applying it right here and even to the labels. It's just red, yellow, or green. If things are red, it is bad. If things are yellow, it's not really changed as much. If green is good. So as we click and change things, all these values change. This bar chart is extremely cool. It's a line chart that actually then shows a bar that shows the variance compared to the previous value. So this value went up 121%. This was a really cool one to create. It's a stack of multiple visuals. I'll have another video to deconstruct how to build it. If you're interested, let me know. But you can also reverse engineer this if you desire. So with that color, look at your color. If you open this thing up, whatever you create, and you say, there is a lot of color on this thing, and in your brain it correlates in some certain way, that's probably not going to work. You need to have intentional color that just shows outliers. Bad, bad, bad. Whatever it is. This is a much better use of color. And again, same data, same calculations, total UX makeover to go to this from this. So these 8 laws can significantly make over any dashboard. Go through this process with what you create, review what you build, ensure it follows. Be humble enough to say, what I just created isn't good enough, and be humble enough to just change it to make something better, and then change that even more as needed. That will improve your development skills, improve who you are as just a humble person, I guess. But, hit subscribe again. More stuff will keep coming out. I hope this was helpful. Y'all take care. Bye.